Playdate, the newest handheld games device, and more coming up on today's episode of the latest in tech news. Hey Gadget here, you're just in time for the latest episode of the world's only 3-in-1 show on tech, gadgets, and gaming news, and I just kicked the microphone. That's right, this is the latest in tech news. And sorry we're not doing a live version of it over on Mixer. Mixer's having some API issues, so I guess we'll apologize for that for them. We had planned on doing a whole live show all day, well, not all day, for, well, our evening hours starting at 7 o'clock and going till 10 Central. But it didn't work out. I'm looking at it right now going API, still partial outage. But I had to record the show. I had to get it out. In case you don't know who I am, my name is Taylor Merrick. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast player so that you don't miss out on the latest episode. But hold off on that like button until you get to a section of the show that you actually like. Speaking of what's to like, well... we got a new handheld gaming device to take a look at for our feature story called the Playdate. Interestingly enough, we'll be getting to more of that. We'll also be taking a look at Google's problems in China are bigger than Huawei. We'll also be taking a look at GOG announcing the Galaxy 2.0, an app designed to fix gaming's platforms problems for good. We'll also be taking a look at a hands-on look with the new 4K 23.7-inch LG UltraFine display. And we'll also be taking a look at Stanford students building this adorable, bouncy, open-source robot dog. You might be surprised by the price. And in gaming news, we'll be taking a look at Riot Games to make a mobile version of League of Legends. And we'll be taking a look at the best Oculus Quest games and apps to download right now. But before we can get into that, did you know that PCs used to go by the name electronic brains in the 1950s? And also, did you know that email has been around longer than the World Wide Web? In case you didn't know that, now you know. And, well, you're smarter for having listened to the show, so you're welcome. Moving right along to today in tech history. Today is May 22nd, 2019, and on this day in history, in 1980, Namco's upcoming game Puck-Man is location tested in a movie theater complex in Japan. After favorable initial testing, the game is tweaked slightly with the game change, mostly being the name being renamed to Pac-Man. Midway, Namco's US distributor, thought that vandals would alter the spelling, and while the game was not officially released until later in the year, October 10th, the creators of the game consider May 22nd to be Pac-Man's birthday because it was the first time the game was shown to the general public. So, happy birthday, Pac-Man. And also on this day in 1906, Orville and Wilbur Wright are granted the first airplane patents in the US for their new and useful improvements in flying machines. Also on this day in history in 1973, Xerox researcher proposes Ethernet. Mainly Robert Metcalf, a researcher at the Xerox Palo Alto Research Center in California, writes his original memo proposing an Ethernet, a means of connecting computers together. Metcalf described the document, typed it out on an IBM Selectric typewriter as follows. Ether, acquisition, heavy, with handwritten annotations, one of which was Ether, and with hand-drawn diagrams, one of which showed boosters interconnecting branched cable, telephone, and radio ethers in what we now call an Internet. If Ethernet was invented in any one memo by any one person or on any one day, this was it. So, with that out of the way, let's head on over to today's feature story. Alright, so, is there something on my notes? I swear there is. If you're watching the video, let me know down in the comment section if there was or wasn't. I'll give you free money for it. I can't say how much at this time, and if it'll be Monopoly money or not. But do help me out. Because I'm looking to fill my Monopoly bank. I keep losing money there. Anyways, handheld games device Playdate looks adorable and innovative. By the way, if you guys are interested in reading the full article for everything discussed on today's show, head on over to technewsgadget.net/122. That's 122. And you can get all the notes in their infinite glory or blindingly brightness screen and googly eye-boggling colors. Anyways, I'm trying to make words that don't even make sense. So, introducing Playdate, a handy little games console with a black and white screen. Looks fantastic. Announced on Wednesday, Playdate is due out next year at a price tag of $149 US. It comes with a few interesting quirks. First, it has a crank on the side, which manufacturer Panic says puts a whole new spin on games. Get it? Okay. The company's website shows one game, Crankin's Time Travel Adventure, in action. Players use the crank to control an on-screen character. Second, its launch library of 12 games are all included in the price of the hardware. The games are released on a weekly basis and are designed to surprise and delight players. We'd like to keep them a secret until they appear on your Playdate, says Panic. We want to surprise you. Some are short, some long, some are experimental, some traditional. All are fun. When your Playdate lights up with a brand new game delivery, we hope you can't wait to unwrap your gift. Now, the device measures 74 by 76 by 9 millimeters with a 2.7 inch display. It comes with Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, a headphone jack, and a USB-C port for battery charging. The games are being designed by the likes of Kita Takahashi, who made Katamari Damacy, Zach Gage, creator of Spell Tower, Bennett Foddy, creator of the one and only QWOP, and Sean Inman, The Last Rocket. Panic has been around for 2 decades, mostly making Mac and iOS games, but is also responsible for publishing Firewatch and the upcoming Untitled Goose game. There's so much more fun to come, adds Panic. Playdate is alive with possibilities and surprises, future games, and a new way to make them. We'll even have more to talk about at launch. So what do you guys think? Interesting? Not interesting? I'm actually quite impressed. Like, I might have dropped off the whole handheld game device map after Game Boy. I really never got into the DS or DS3 or Quattro Pro or whatever the handheld gaming devices are that came out. Matter of fact, I didn't even fall for, what's that one? I swear there was a rapper who this past Christmas in 2018 tried releasing his own line. I know, you're probably dropping it in the comment section right now saying, don't you know who that is? I know who it is. It's just the name escapes me right now, but he came out with his own line of electronic gadgets, and turns out that they're just cheap Chinese ripoffs. This actually looks like a great quality gaming gadget, and Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, headphone jack, USB-C port, interesting games to follow, an interesting way that new games are delivered directly to your device, could revolutionize handheld gaming as we know it. Well, granted, I've probably been out of the handheld gaming device world for like the past 15 years, just because the dual screens really never appealed to me. I didn't know if you still had to buy cartridges to put in the game or not, if it could be delivered wirelessly or not. Well, this one puts them all to shame. We'll have to find out more, obviously, at launch. If you guys want to share your thoughts on if you are interested or not interested in Playdate, be sure to leave me a comment down below. I'd love to have a conversation about this. I can't be the only one up here talking about this all the time. It gets kind of boring after a while, so let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you think. Alright, moving on to some more news. Apparently Google's problems in China are a lot bigger than Huawei's, mainly because the Trump administration banned Huawei here in United States for, well, okay. I don't want to get into it because it gets politics way too quickly. All I'm going to say is I don't think it was the smartest move, but Google apparently has a lot of bigger problems in China. Google's troubles in China now include Huawei. For years, the tech giant has been dogged by its relationship with the world's biggest country. In 2010, Google pulled out of the search market in China after co-founder Sergey Brin cited the government's totalitarian policies, including censorship of the web. Since then, Google has tried to tiptoe back into the huge and appealing market, only to draw the ire of lawmakers and human rights advocates. Dragonfly, a censored search product for China, and an AI lab in Beijing have been partially controversial. Now Google has to deal with another issue in the country. On May 15th, the Trump administration upended the tech world by effectively banning Huawei from doing business with the U.S. A host of tech giants Qualcomm, Broadcom, and Intel reacted quickly, reportedly cutting off business with the world's second largest smartphone maker. Microsoft removed Huawei's MateBook X Pro laptop from its online store in apparent reaction to the ban. Google too swiftly reacted, saying that it would stop providing Huawei with technical support and that upcoming versions of their phones outside China would no longer get access to Google's Play Store app marketplace and its marquee slate of services, including YouTube and Gmail. The move was temporarily reversed on Tuesday after the U.S. said it would issue a 90-day license for U.S. mobile companies to figure out long-term solutions. The ban highlights Google's unusual position in this. Unlike other tech companies such as iPhone maker Apple, Google's biggest product isn't available in China, and losing its relationship with Huawei will only make it more difficult for the search giant to eventually enter that lucrative market. They're walking more of a political tightrope than the other players are, said Bob O'Donnell, president of Technalysis Research. Google's biggest moneymaker, search, isn't there. Obviously, Google declined to comment. The search giant, of course, isn't the only tech company blocked in China. Facebook service is blocked in China, though it has advertisers in the country. Twitter can't be accessed in China either, but still, few tech companies are as obviously eager to be part of the market as Google. Dragonfly, the censored search product, would reportedly blacklist search terms disapproved of by the Chinese government, such as student protest and Nobel Prize. It also may have tied searches to people's phone numbers. Human rights advocates protested when news of Dragonfly broke last year. Google called work on a project exploratory and said it had no plans to launch a search service in China. But when Google CEO was dragged in front of Congress last December, Dragonfly was a key topic in the grilling. Now, the search giant's relationship with Huawei is another source of friction in its overall relations with China. None of those sources of tension is likely to ease anytime soon. Google is in a particularly tough spot, but I don't know. It seems like whenever government and lawmakers get involved in various countries, usually companies are the ones left to suffer. For good, bad, or otherwise, disagreements aside, there are ways that you can, quote, reach across the aisle, reach across countries, and figure out common ground solutions. However, you have to keep in mind that a country is a country, and they do have their own citizens' rights to uphold and along with protect. So every government has that. I'm not gonna go gloss it over. So it's just kind of frustrating when you see more of the markets opening up to more free market enterprise global scale type markets, and then having them cut off here or kneecap there or shackled there, and then effectively killing off one company or seriously hampering another company. I don't know. It's almost like, to some extent, it's like, well, if we're supposed to go global with this, how in the world are we supposed to do so if we keep getting kneecapped and cut off at every corner? I mean, should we just sit here in our own country? We can only do so much. It can only innovate so much. We can only absorb so many companies within the country so much before we become a monopoly, and then there essentially is no competition. Although a competition always will, but it just finds it harder and harder and harder to, rear its head to the challenge, to spur innovation, to spur new technology, to spur improvements and advances. Just figure out a way to get along, and soon, because people in all the countries are suffering along with businesses, and I kind of find it unfortunate that it keeps having to deal with this kind of problem over and over again. So hopefully the problem resolves itself soon. Hopefully it all glosses over, we're able to find a solution, and we're able to move on. Sound good? Sound good. Moving along, GOG announces the GOG Galaxy 2.0, an app designed to fix gaming's platform problems. So GOG is the PC game platform you might know and love for its anti-DRM stance. It's a consumer-friendly policy that's the exception to the rule, and while it may also eat into GOG's marketability as a distribution platform in the eye of AAA publishers, it sends a clear and positive message to consumers. Hence, a lot of very happy fans. GOG's goodwill towards its customers got its foot in the door, but the pressures of competition from the likes of the Epic Store and Steam are no doubt hurdles to overcome. Now, the trick to getting over these obstacles and ensuring growth for GOG may lie in the upcoming launch of the Galaxy 2.0, which doesn't merely overhaul the look on the platform's desktop client, but expands its functionality in a bid to offer even more services and convenience to users. In a recent meeting with GOG's managing director, Piotr Karwalski, and SVP of Business Development, Oleg Kapovsky, I'm bad at names, I got the first taste of their vision for GOG Galaxy 2.0. I, meaning the author of this article, not me. all your friends and all your games in one place. Now, what this means is a few things, including collating all of your digital PC games across all platforms and services and making them easy to launch and install directly from Galaxy. We got a little screenshot image here. Now, though you obviously can't launch PS4 or Xbox games from the app, you can add your PS4 and Xbox One games to your index to use Galaxy as a general purpose library management tool, which includes the auto population of cover art and basic meta info for each game you add. Now, there are handy additions with arguably modest benefits that have been offered by other apps in the past, but what really makes the pitch for GOG Galaxy 2.0 attractive is that it aims to connect you and all of your friends across all consoles and PC platforms to create an all-encompassing gaming portal. Their ambitious approach goes beyond collections, accounting for gameplay data, achievements, and direct messaging. Galaxy 2.0 can even find friends on one service, and if they are also a Galaxy user, help you connect on services where the friendship hasn't yet been established. So, the demo so far looked orderly and attractive, and I'm trying not to cough here on the microphone. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I need to drink some liquid. Oops. Hang on, guys. I'm doing this live. I need some liquid, so I'm gonna wet my whistle. Hopefully that did trick. Now, the inviting user interface made looking at arrays of data and comparison points a relatively painless process, and it was surprising how many useful modules could fit on a single screen. Users will also be able to get into the weeds and alter look and feel of their interface by configuring existing pages and menus, as well as creating new menus with custom logic and layouts to suit their organizational and analytic needs. So, yeah, all looks pretty impressive. And when asked to explain how the Galaxy 2.0 makes business sense for GOG, they simply stated that their hope is that users who use the app will also take advantage of the built-in store. Well, obviously, it's what we figured. It's not a work of charity to be certain, but as GOG has proven in the past, showing customers that your platform is built to make their hobby a markedly better experience can be reason enough for loyalty to set in and sales to follow. So, my question to you is, how many of you actually use... oh, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, I think a frog jumped in my throat. The question I wanted to ask was, before I rudely got interrupted by that cough, thank you very much, was, how many of you actually use GOG? Do you enjoy the games on it? Do you enjoy the variety? Be sure to let me know down in the comments section. I tried to get interested in it. It didn't seem to appeal to me right off the bat, so I moved on to other things to look at. So, I'm not quite sure. Be sure to let me know down in the comment section. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Okay, well, Apple this week began stocking a new 4K 23.7-inch LG UltraFine display, and while Mac Rumors had a chance to go hands-on with it, by the way, there is a video that it goes along with this. Link to this article will be in the show notes. This replaces the original 21.5-inch 4K LG UltraFine display that was pulled from retail stores and the Apple online store earlier this year. They picked one up and thought we'd check it out to see if it's worth the $700 price point. Now, here's what they think. The new 4K display looks quite similar to the prior generation 4K and 5K ultrafine displays, with a black plastic body with relatively thick bezels and a black aluminum stand. Like prior models, it can be VESA mounted if you prefer. Now, it's larger than the original 4K ultrafine display, as it measures in at 23.7 inches instead of 21.5, but it features a 3840 by 2160 resolution rather than a 4096 by 2304 resolution like the first model. It's still considered Ultra HD though, and qualifies as 4K. Now, though this display has a 4K resolution, it's not meant to be used at the full 3840 by 1260 resolution given its display size, because everything on the display would be super small. Instead, it's meant to provide retina clarity when downscaled to a more reasonable resolution like 1920 by 1080 or 2560 by 1440, which is what they set it to. Along with the larger display size, the new ultrafine display features two Thunderbolt 3 ports instead of a single port, which means you can daisy chain two of these monitors together. Now, they didn't have a second one on hand, but used daisy chaining with a different 4K display, and it worked out. Now, you can also connect other Thunderbolt 3 enabled accessories directly to the display if preferred, and there are also 3 additional USB-C ports. Both a Thunderbolt 3 and USB-C cable are included. There's no webcam, but there are built-in stereo speakers available, much like the prior version of the LG UltraFine displays available from Apple. So, quality. Display is crisp and vivid, rivaling the Retina display on Apple Macs, and they like the high gloss finish despite the fact that it adds a little bit more glare. Now with 500 nits of brightness, it's fairly bright, and because it has P3 wide color support, all the colors are rich and true to life. So, yeah, it looks pretty good. So we'll have to see. I don't know. You guys like this? You like getting UltraFine from the Apple stores? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments. I don't. I'm sitting here with an HP monitor and a Samsung monitor. I'd love to be able to stick with one brand and go for the moon with that, but we'll see how it works out. I know I'm making some really interesting segues. I just randomly cut off on a thought or finish a thought, and then I don't even wrap it up, and then I hit the button. Sorry, I'm still working on it. Mainly my brain's fried because I thought for the longest time I was streaming live on Mixer, which I am doing recently now, and I went for a whole entire hour, and get this. Well, like I said at the beginning of the show, the API is suffering from partial outages, so when I went to go and check, my stream was offline. So what's going on? Well, couldn't stream. So I tried to figure out this and tried to figure out that and tried to figure out this and tried to figure out that. I didn't just go on Twitter and then complain my problem to the world. I actually went and looked into it, and I really, really, really appreciate how quickly Mixer is at their support. Like, I'd spent maybe 45 minutes trying to figure out what was wrong, what's going on, if it was my side, if it was their side, what was going on. So I sent Mixer a message. You want to know how fast it took me to get a response from them? I snapped my fingers. That's what I did. And they replied. Incredible. One of the reasons why I like Mixer. So hopefully we will be back tomorrow. If you're listening to this tonight, Thursday, on the 23rd at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time at mixer.com/TechNewsGadget. As always, follow us for the latest. But in terms of gadget news, Stanford students built this adorable, bouncy, open source robot dog, and look at it. It looks so cute. It looks jumping. Now, if you've always dreamed of having a low-maintenance, vaguely dog-shaped companion, well, you're in luck. A group of undergraduate and graduate students at Stanford have just unveiled Doggo, a relatively cheap, light, four-legged robot with the bouncing ability of a typical toy breed. Best of all, they've made the instructions to building your very own Doggo fully and freely available to the public. Now, this robot was created by members of the Stanford Robotics Club, specifically its Extreme Mobility team. According to its creators, the roughly 10-pound Doggo can dance, navigate uneven terrain, and even jump up to 3.5 feet off the ground. Its vertical agility is especially impressive. It more than matches the jumping skills of real-life animals and is apparently 22% greater than a current record held by similar dogs. But it isn't just physical prowess that makes Doggo a very good robo-boy. Now, we have seen other quadruped robots used in research, but they weren't something that you could bring into your own lab and use for your own projects. Nathan Cow, a mechanical engineering major and lead project for Extreme Mobility, said in a release from Stanford, "We wanted Stanford Doggo to be this open source robot that you could build yourself on a relatively small budget." What are we talking about here? Well, nearly all the parts used to create Doggo were bought intact on the internet, while the rest can be easily 3D printed, so I guess you need a 3D printer of sorts. The total cost involved in building Doggo, including shipping and handling, amounted to less than $3,000. Via the website GitHub, the team has also released all of the relevant information you would need to create your Doggo, including software coding, a supply list, and manual instructions. From there, any enterprising roboticist could tweak the design to create an even more capable Doggo. So they were just providing the baseline. Say, for example, you wanted to work on search and rescue, you could outfit it with sensors and write code on top of it, or maybe it's picking up stuff with an arm or carrying a package. Open source, have fun, collaborate, enjoy. So for all of you gadget gearheads who enjoy robotics and enjoyed building Team Lego back in the day, or figuring out how robotics work in general, join robotic teams in college, in high school, this is your chance. If you like tweaking with this kind of stuff, we always need these people in the work world. I can't do this kind of work. You give me a line of code and I'll sit there for like a half hour trying to figure out what's going on, and only after I've kind of gone into the system will I actually know what I'm doing. But I'll probably still break stuff, still have no idea what I'm doing. But yeah, open source, totally exciting, totally fun. So if you guys are interested in your very own Doggo of sorts, let's see, it's on GitHub, but you can easily get to it from gizmodo.com. The link to this article will be in the show notes. Moving on to some gaming news. Well, if you haven't heard the news, Riot Games is looking to make a mobile version of League of Legends with Tencent. And if you're like, who's Tencent? It's a China-based company. They own Riot Games. So they also own a couple other really cool, interesting companies and gadgets and stuff. But anyways, Riot Games is developing a mobile version of League of Legends alongside Chinese tech company Tencent. Reuters said today in a report confirmed by Kotaku. A source with knowledge of the upcoming mobile game told Kotaku that it plays differently from League of Legends, although it retains the hit MOBA's general appearance. The game is not a true one-to-one port, and it's kind of difficult to do that on a mobile device, the source said, adding that it has different items and runes and potentially fewer characters. The gameplay is built for mobile. According to Reuters, Riot and Tencent have been working on the game for over a year, and both companies did not return Kotaku's request for comment by press time. Tencent has owned Riot since 2015, and around then the behemoth Chinese company allegedly initiated talks with Riot about making a mobile adaptation. Riot obviously declined. In addition to preferring their in-house designers to Tencent's, the report from The Information alleges Riot founders didn't want to water down the PC-based League for smartphones. Afterward, Tencent published mobile strategy game Honor of Kings, which is reminiscent of League of Legends. The game was a huge hit in China, earning the company billions, yet it looks like the version of Honor of Kings that made its way to the US App Store, Arena of Valor, kind of flopped. So, keep in mind, Riot has published one game in its 13 years of existing, and although League of Legends is still erroneously popular on PC, a well-regarded mobile game could help sustain its dominance for years to come if it proves appealing in markets like China, and a crossover here to the stateside and elsewhere in the world actually works out fine, and we don't have any problems, and it works smooth, so I'm excited about this. I obviously know when the League of Legends, the mobile version, comes to the smartphone, you're not going to be able to do the same things as in the PC-based version of the game. You're going to have a lot less options, a lot fewer things to do. You won't be able to cross-play with people online or local player. Well, maybe you might be able to play with local players. I don't know. We'll see how that turns out, but I know you won't be able to play cross-platform. That's what I meant in terms of Xbox and PlayStation like they do with Fortnite. Or you won't be able to do it cross-platform with PC and Mac people. You'll be stuck on a mobile. But if it can work out fine, works out great, looks good, I might be interested. Moving on to our last article of today, the best free Oculus Quest games and apps to download right now. Now, for those of you who don't know, I guess a couple days ago, here in the States at least, across a whole wide berth of advertising, it just exploded all over the place. Pop-up ads started popping up everywhere. Banner ads, browser ads, YouTube videos. Matter of fact, when I was watching Hulu, it popped up, but all these VR ads started popping up. So I was like, Oculus, huh? Coming out with some stuff. So, in the spirit of VR and the virtual reality that brings a different edge to gaming and actually makes you do stuff instead of just sitting in front of a TV and typing away on a keyboard or mashing a controller. Well, have you just forked over $400 for an Oculus Quest? Congratulations, you're ready to jump into a bunch of amazing VR experiences. But unless you've already bought a lot of these on Rift with cross-buy support, you're probably about to shell out even more for a bunch of games and apps. Now, here at Upload VR, they hope to help you with that, and I haven't covered an article by uploadvr.com, but this article seemed promising, so I wanted to cover it. True, most of Quest's more robust content has a price attached to it, but there are a few worthwhile apps that don't require you to get your wallet out. So we'll run down a couple of the games and see what you think. Games and experiences so far, one of which is Bait, Resolution Games' VR fishing game, first proved popular on Gear VR and has since amassed more than 2 million players worldwide. The Quest version is the first to bring 6 degrees of freedom tracking to the game, making the hours of content more immersive than ever. Note that there are in-app purchases. This is mainly for buying equipment so you can, play around with in-game currency, but you can still fish and have fun with that. Also, there's First Contact and First Steps. You're likely already familiar with First Steps. It's the VR showcase you first experience when you boot up Quest. It's also a great way to show Quest's 6 degrees of freedom, 6 DOF tracking, and the power of VR. But you can also get First Contact. This is essentially the original Oculus Rift's answer to First Steps, but with its own array of mini-games to play and test out. Neither will take you long to get through, but both are great for introducing you to VR if this is your first time setting it up. There's also BOGO. Now, if you've ever dreamed of owning a virtual alien, really who hasn't, then BOGO is for you. It's like Tamagotchi come to life. Matter of fact, we covered that in last week's show or 2 weeks ago. letting you feed and play with an adorable little critter. Again, it was a demo first intended to showcase the power of Quest to those who haven't tried it yet. Now, it might be small, but it's still worth checking out, especially if you want to introduce any younger kids to the magic of VR. Now, for us adults, there's Poker Stars VR. Even if you don't like poker, it's a fun social experience to sit around and hang out with people. It uses your Oculus avatar as your character, and the interactions are excellent. The touch controller support is very appreciated and does a great job of affording interactivity. Plus, if you do like poker, well, you'll likely end up being one of your go-to apps to unwind at the end of the day. So, as for social, there's Rec Room. It's a social VR platform first and foremost. In fact, it's probably the best place to meet with friends online. Mass array of games awaits you from here, from dodgeball to co-op questing. Better yet, you can create your own games and rooms to show your friends. Cross-play support means that you can join friends on PC and PS VR. That's the PlayStation. There's also VR Chat, which is probably one of VR's best-known apps, giving players a huge degree of autonomy. Again, it's a space to hang out and catch up with friends, but extensive avatar support allows you to embody anyone, from Bart Simpson to Batman. Think of it as Second Life, but for VR, and that's VR Chat. There's also Big Screen, which is unique among social VR apps in that it's centered around a flat screen content. Crucially, you can project this content onto a giant screen and share it with your friends. It's also a great way to, say, watch a movie with different people across the globe, or give online gaming sessions to a local multiplayer vibe. Different events keep giving you a reason to come back to, so be sure to take a look at that. And finally, there's YouTube. Over the past few years, there's been a huge influx of 3D video content. Well, not 3D, 360. That's what I should have said. It might not be true VR, but it can be quite compelling. There's no better place to try that format out for yourself than YouTube. With the largest collection of free 360-degree content, you can spend hours getting lost in other locations here. So if you happen to pick it up on the Quest and you have that headset on, 360 degrees of total awesomeness for free, provided by YouTube. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. See, I pressed the wrong button. Sorry, guys. I'm mashing different. I can't see. The mic's in the way of the Stream Deck, and I can't press the right button. I wish it was sitting right here. Matter of fact, maybe I could probably move it. I'll worry about it later. But that wraps up this episode of the Latest in Tech News. Thanks for tuning in, guys. New episodes every weekday. Latest in Tech News can be found on every major platform, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Stitcher, Overcast, and live on Mixer. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to let us know by clicking that like button and leaving a comment. Also, double check that you are subscribed and following so that you don't miss the next episode. I'm your host, Taylor American. Remember, for latest in tech, gadget, and gaming news, visit TechNewsGadget.net. Pretty much, keep being awesome, guys, and I'll see you on the flip side.